In the 13th century, the world lost 10% of its entire human population in a single generation. In the year 1206 AD, a man named Temüjin stood on the steppes of Central Asia and declared himself ruler of all the Mongols. He gave himself a new name, Genghis Khan, the universal ruler. Within 25 years, his armies carved out the largest contiguous land empire in human history. But here is what the history books gloss over. Between 30 and 40 million people. Some scholars say 60 million. That is 1 in every 10 human beings alive on the planet. The civilizations they destroyed were not primitive. They were the most advanced on Earth, and they were erased. The population of Iran would not recover to its pre-Mongol levels until the 20th century, 700 years later. And yet, when we name history's great villains, the Mongols get a paragraph, maybe a television series that romanticizes the drama.
This is the story they didn't teach you. His father was poisoned by rivals when Temüjin was 9 years old. His clan abandoned him. He grew up in poverty, cold, hunted. He was captured and made to wear a wooden kongu, a slave's yoke around his neck. He escaped, and from that humiliation, he built an empire. By 1206, he had unified the fractured Mongol and Turkic tribes, not through blood loyalty, but through a radical new idea, loyalty to him alone. He created a meritocratic military structure of deadly precision. This was not a barbarian horde. This was a highly organized war machine. Their composite bows could pierce armor at 200 meters. They had one policy: surrender or die. If a city submitted, it was spared. If it resisted, every man, woman, and child was killed, not as a side effect of war, as a message to every other city watching. In 1219, Genghis Khan launched his invasion of the Khwarazmian Empire. The Sultan, Muhammad II, had made a catastrophic mistake. He executed Mongol trade envoys. To Genghis Khan, this was not an insult. It was a declaration of war against the natural order of the universe. The response was apocalyptic. Samarkand, one of the greatest cities on Earth, population of 500,000, a center of scholarship, science, and trade, the jewel of the Silk Road. In 1220, the Mongols arrived at Samarkand. The city surrendered. It was burned and emptied regardless. Its artisans were taken. Its soldiers were executed. Nishapur. When it resisted, the Mongols returned. Persian historian Javani recorded they killed every living thing, including the cats and the dogs. The skulls were stacked in pyramids, separated by gender. The Arab historian Ibn al-Athir, writing in real time, said he wished his mother had never borne him. He could barely bring himself to record what he had witnessed. Merv, called the Queen of the World, one of the largest cities on Earth, population over 200,000, a city that had stood for 1,000 years. When Merv fell in 1221, estimates suggest 700,000 people were killed. In 2 years, the Mongols had destroyed the eastern half of the Islamic Golden Age. Libraries, irrigation systems, civilization itself. They didn't just kill people, they destroyed the Khanats, the ancient irrigation systems that had made Persian civilization possible for 1,000 years. They made the land itself uninhabitable. Before the Mongol invasions, the population of China was estimated at 120 million people, the most sophisticated civilization on Earth. It would be next. Genghis Khan had already launched his invasion of northern China in 1211. The campaigns would last decades. He himself died in 1227 before seeing China fully conquered. Genghis Khan died in 1227. The cause disputed by historians. A fall from a horse, some say. Illness, say others.
He died without seeing China fall. His successors finished the job. His grandson Kublai Khan finally destroyed the Southern Song dynasty in 1279, completing a 68-year conquest. The population of China after the conquest estimated at 60 million, half gone. In 1241, the Mongol armies under Batu Khan and the general Subutai, arguably the greatest military strategist of the medieval world, invaded Europe. At the Battle of Legnica on April 9, 1241, a coalition of Polish, German, and Teutonic knights was annihilated. The Duke of Silesia, Henry the Pious, was killed. His head paraded on a spear. 4 days later, the Hungarian army was destroyed at the Battle of Mohi. An estimated 25% of Hungary's entire population was killed. King Bela IV fled to an island in the Adriatic Sea. The Mongols reached the Gates of Vienna, and then they stopped. Okadai Khan died in December 1241 in Mongolia.
Under Mongol law, all commanders had to return to elect a new great Khan. Subutai, who had never lost a battle in his life, turned his armies around. Europe was saved, not by its knights, not by its castles, but by the death of a man 6,000 miles away. History had never turned on a hinge so small. Here is where history becomes complicated, because the same empire that killed 40 million people also created something unprecedented, the Pax Mongolica, a period of peace across the Silk Road. For the first time in history, a single authority controlled the entire land route from China to Europe. A Venetian merchant named Marco Polo traveled this road and came back with accounts that Europeans could barely believe. But plague also traveled those roads. The Black Death, moving westward along Mongol trade routes, reached Europe by 1347. The roads built for commerce became vectors for catastrophe. The Mongols had destroyed the Old World. The Pax Mongolica connected what was left, and the connection killed tens of millions more. The same empire, two catastrophes. So why don't we talk about this? Part of the answer is geography. The primary victims were Persian, Chinese, Central Asian. The civilizations that write dominant history were largely spared. Part of the answer is time. 700 years insulates horror. It becomes history, then legend, then aesthetic, then a brand name on a restaurant. Historian Timothy May has argued the Mongol conquests fundamentally altered the demographic and cultural trajectory of all Eurasia, and that this is still underappreciated in mainstream historical education. Historian David Christian has argued the destruction set back Islamic scientific development by centuries. The cities that burned in 1220 never fully recovered. The knowledge that burned was simply gone. Genghis Khan is buried somewhere in Mongolia. No one knows exactly where.
Per his instruction, the burial site was kept completely secret. The soldiers who buried him were killed to keep the secret. Horses trampled the earth to hide the grave. A river was diverted over it.
He wanted to disappear. The man who reshaped the world, who killed 1 in every 10 people alive, who erased civilizations. He wanted no monument, no tomb, no marker. He wanted to disappear. History, it turns out, gave him something else. It gave him myth. And in myth, the 40 million become a footnote, and the conqueror becomes a brand. That is the distance between what happened and what we remember. And that distance, that silence, is worth examining. Not with anger, with honesty. The ruins are still there. Merv, Nishapur, Samarkand. You can visit them today. You can put your hand on walls that survived and try to imagine what stood around them. History remembers what we choose to remember, and it forgets what we allow to be forgotten. The question is never just what happened. The question is always why we looked away. This has been a true story.